Hello, this is Justin with the chess website, and today I'm going to show you the 7 deadliest traps for beginners in chess. So starting off, we're going to show the Petrov defense. It starts e4, e5, knight to f3, so we're attacking this pawn, and instead of defending the pawn, black just mirrors us. They do the same exact thing we do, and this is very dangerous because if we take and they take, how we're going to punish this is we're going to play queen to e2. And now if they keep mirroring us and play queen to e7, we just take this, and they're not going to be able to take here because we're going to take their queen and be completely winning. So after we play queen to e2, black is better advised to do something like move their knight. So if they move their knights, this sets up the Petrov trap. And here we play the nasty discovered check, knight to c6, attacking the queen, attacking the king, winning the game. The only way to deal with it is to either block with the bishop or queen or knight. Every single one of them is just bad, loses material. The knight is going to be able to take the queen if it lands on e7, and that's going to be the game. So next is the Damiano Trap. So that starts e4, e5, knight to f3. Very similar start. But here, instead of playing knight to f6, black plays f6 to try to defend this e5 pawn. But we don't care. We're going to take this anyway, sacrifice the knight. And after f takes e5, we bring our queen out to h5, give a check. And we're also attacking this pawn on e5, which is really important. So if the king goes up, we actually have a very nasty series of checks where this king is going to be forced into the corner, and this check here is going to be disgusting, and black is just in terrible shape. And then after this check, if black tries to block it with g6, we're going to take on e5 with check, and we're actually forking the king and the rook, so we're going to win material and the game. Next up is the Noah's Ark Trap. This is a very old trap, but it's very important to know. Instead of knight to f6, we're going to look at knight to c6. So black tries to defend this pawn, and then bishop to b5 is the Roy Lopez. This is the oldest opening in the book. It's played so many times. And after a6, bishop to a4, d6, white tries to play d4 and strike in the center, but this is unfortunately not going to work because after b5, the bishop goes to b3. Black will take on d4 with the knight. After they take back, and the queen takes. This bishop is in terrible shape. And after c5, and the queen moves somewhere, c4, this bishop is trapped, and we're just winning a piece right out of the opening. Now, if the queen goes to d5 instead, all black has to do is play bishop to e6, which defends the rook, which was attacked, and also defends the mate. And after this, a move like c4 here is going to be winning because the rook is protected. Moving on, let's go to the fishing pole. The fishing pole can start in a number of ways, but the way I'm going to show is after e4, e5, just like we've seen before, knight to f3, knight to c6. If white just develops a bishop, black brings this knight out, and after castles, black sets up the trap by playing knight to g4. This knight on g4 is not very well placed, but it could induce a weakness if white isn't careful, and if white falls for the trap, they'll play h3, seemingly a natural move, attacking the knight. But we're going to play h5, sacrifice the knight, and after they take, black takes back. The knight has to move. It's under attack. And once it moves, the queen goes to the h file, and it teams up with this rook to deliver a checkmate on the h file. The next trap is the Siberian Trap. Starts after e4, c5, d4. This is called the Smith-Morra Gambit. White is gambiting a pawn, so black's going to win a pawn, but it's actually black who has the trap in their back pocket after knight c6, e6, queen c7. This is very similar to the fishing pole, where after white castles, They play knight to g4 to try to attack this h2 pawn potentially, team up with this queen, and black has good pressure here. And the trap again is set as soon as white plays h3. So this move, kind of the key move in multiple of these traps, because it's a weakening move and it doesn't actually do that much because here, instead of dealing with this threat, black can play the brilliance knight to d4. Because here, the knight is controlling the square, but the knight can't take because the knight is overworked. It was doing a job. It was controlling h2 from f3, and now it's not. So it needs to stay on f3, controlling h2, otherwise it's going to get checkmated. So after knight to d4, there's actually nothing that white can do um, that doesn't just immediately lose material. So if they take here, um, black is just going to take the queen and be up material and win the game. So that is the fishing pole. And next is the Caro Kann. So the Caro Kann starts with c6. And then white plays this system called the two knights. They bring both of their knights out, and black takes in the center. White recaptures with their knights. And after knight to f6, instead of retreating or taking, white keeps the tension in the center and plays queen to e2, protecting that knight. And after a move like knight to d7, the trap has been set. We utilize this queen on e2, controlling this e-file by playing knight to d6, checkmate in 6 moves. Because this pawn is pinned, it cannot take the knight, and the king can't move. It's smothered by its own pieces. A beautiful checkmate in only 6 moves. Lastly, I'm going to show you the Milner-Barry Gambit that starts after the French defense, which is e6, and then d4, d5, e5. This is the advanced variation, where it is advancing past black, and after c5, c3, black's plan is to attack this d4 square. So they go about this by bringing their queen and their knight to attack the square, and white is going to say, all right, you can go ahead and have this pawn on d4. You can go ahead and take it. But this is exactly what white wants. And after knight 64, queen 64, it sets up the devastating bishop b5 check. Discover check, winning the queen and the game. So this has been the 7 deadliest traps for beginners. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.